grab your Lego bricks and build with me as I tell the story of a park, 2 kids, a far-off island, dangerous cliffs, plus I'm going to show you how to build a dragon. I'm Jen Smart from LEGOmaster Season 2. Be sure to watch to the end, because after the credits, there's bloopers. Seriously, pause this right now and go get your Lego so you can build with me. Here's a story of 2 kids, Caroline and Nelson. Caroline loves mystery, loves exploring and learning new things. Nelson loves adventure. He even likes heights, which is unusual for some kids. At their local park, they have a playground. It looks something like this. You might have something similar at a park near you. Something with stairs, a slide, climbing wall, a little roof, platforms. In their play structure, they have these fun little rollers. You might have something like that at your park too. I built them so they actually roll. On her adventure today, Captain Caroline is going on a voyage to Discovery Island. And our noble Nelson, he's going to climb up the dragon's tower. When I was a kid, I was kind of like Nelson. I wasn't afraid of heights. I respected heights, but I wasn't afraid of heights. So I was the kid who would hold on to something and then lean over the edge to see what was down below. Not afraid of heights. Let's play a little Lego Seek. In my build, I've hidden 3 books. Well, not really hidden. It's not like I buried them or anything. You should be able to find them. So keep an eye out for them as you're watching me build today. In early elementary school, I loved reading books such as Green Eggs and Ham by Dr. Seuss, all the Dr. Seuss. I loved Charlotte's Web, and I loved the poems of Shel Silverstein. Later on in elementary school, I loved reading books about mysteries and solving problems, such as the Encyclopedia Brown series, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, Choose Your Own Adventures, and that's when I first read Sherlock Holmes. Absolutely loved it. It got me hooked on Agatha Christie as well. And speaking of books, that makes me think of a joke I've recently heard.
Now it's time for Giggle Bricks with Nico, the part of the show where Nico tells a silly joke.
Why was the math book sad? Because it had too many problems.
In Caroline's imagination, the twisting, curving slide from the playground has turned into a twisting, curving waterfall as water caresses down the side of Discovery Island. Caroline sees the climbing wall on her play structure at her park. She imagines a cliff face with all of these different colored flowers. The play structure has stairs going up to the platform, and in Caroline's imagination, she sees a climbing vine that has grown up the side of a cliff. Now Nelson, his favorite thing is the slide. And so in his imagination, that slide has turned into a dragon. So when Nelson sees the stairs and the climbing wall on the playground equipment, he just imagines the sheer, jagged cliffs of a dangerous, tall mountain. What do you have at your park? Maybe your park has a playground, maybe it doesn't. Maybe it's just a wide open field so that you can run and play. Or maybe it's a ball field where you can play baseball, or a soccer field where you can play soccer or football. So what's at your park? I want you to build a park from your imagination while I'm building a park from mine. Here's a handy tool if you don't have all the pieces you want, or if you want to know which pieces you're going to need to dig out in order to build what you want to build. This is a program called Studio. You can download it for free on bricklink.com. I'm not affiliated with them at all. I just love their stuff. This program actually allows me to build digitally with Lego to create whatever MOC I want. So you can see here, you can grab the bricks off the side, you can select the color, you can select colors that aren't even available, you can select colors that haven't even been made yet. I make sure to tick the box, use only available colors. That way I know I'm using parts that are actually available for purchase, so that whatever I build digitally, I can actually create three-dimensionally on my build table. I have built this play structure in Studio as I was building it, so I could see what parts I needed and in what colors. Have you ever heard a Lego builder call their creation a MOC? What's a MOC?
Lego Lingo.
Now it's time for Lego Lingo.
If you've ever been to a Lego convention, you may have heard some of the builds called MOCs. MOC stands for My Own Creation. As opposed to buying a Lego set from the store, following the instructions and building it. That's called a Lego set. A Lego MOC is something I've created myself. So now, whenever you build something with Lego, you can call it a MOC. To make the red poles that are holding up the playground structure, I'm using Technic pieces. I'm going to tell you one of the most important things about building your MOC. Lots of people forget this, and now you're going to know the secret. The secret is build it on a base, an elevated base. Don't just put it on a base plate. Build up the ground around it, and it will look so much better. Trust me. I saw a covered twisting slide at a park, and I wanted to build one of those. And in order to do that, I took a Lego slide that twists, and then I got a second Lego slide and turned it upside down and put it on top of it. But how do you get Lego to stay in place when it's upside down and there's nothing for it to clutch to? In order to do that, you need to use a special snot technique. Wait, did I just say snot? Ew, not that kind of snot. That's gross. Not that kind of snot.
Lego Lingo.
Now it's time for Lego Lingo.
Snot is when we build with bricks like these. SNOT stands for studs not on top. These studs are on top. These studs are not on top. This is the good kind of snot. Studs not on top. Snot. So you can see the studs are sticking down where I'm attaching the slide because I'm using snot bricks. If you're watching closely, you'll see that I take things apart an awful lot. That's because I love the creative process. I love figuring out what works better. So I'm always making it better. It's not a mistake. It's learning, well, that didn't work. What's next? Well, that didn't work. What's next? And by the time I find out what does work, I've done all of these things all of these steps that have shown me how to get there. It's never a mistake if you learn from it. So now I've got 2 slides. One's right side up and one's upside down. But you can't tell unless you know my snot secret. Right now I'm laying down the general shape of the imagination cloud. So we're gonna have Caroline's Island on one from her imagination, and we're gonna have the Dragon's Tower from Nelson's imagination on the other. And now that I've mapped out where I want both imagination clouds to be, I'm gonna start building Discovery Island. The fun part about this cascading waterfall was figuring out the correct downward angle along with the correct twist as it goes around the island, just like the slide. I've actually got this question a couple of times. What if I don't have the parts I need? What do I do? I've been asked this question several times and I love answering this question. Here's why. On LEGOmasters, there's 12 teams all trying to go for the same parts. It's true that there's 5 million bricks, but it's never enough. When we're all trying to build the same thing, we're using the same parts and all those parts get used up. So what happens when you don't have the part that you want? This is a skill we have been practicing our whole lives because we don't have 5 million bricks at home. We have a lot, but we don't have 5 million. So part of the fun is problem solving and figuring out how you can build what you're thinking with the parts that you have. If you only own one set of Lego, you can build so much with that because imagination kicks in. You can build all kinds of amazing things. You don't have to have the exact right part to still get your point across in your art. So when you're creating with your Lego and you don't have the part you need, and so you figure out something else that will work, that's a LEGOmaster skill. And now you're building like a master. And if you notice, I'm using a lot of regular bricks and plates. I'm not using specialty parts. Because the playground has a yellow slide, I put yellow flowers all around the outside of this waterfall. I really like how this waterfall turned out. And do you notice the pattern of the flowers on the side of the very top of the island? They match the pattern on our rollers from the playground. At the very top of her playground structure is a roof and it's got 4 sides. But she imagines that her island has a canopy of palm trees, 4 palm trees in fact. Notice the plates I'm using as I'm building up the base of this mountain. I'm using regular rectangular plates, I'm using curved plates, I'm using wedge plates, and I'm layering them all on top of each other to make these jagged edges that look like rock. Then I start using slopes of all different angles and shapes and stagger them so they look like ragged rocks. As I'm building these cliffs, I'm reminded of a joke.
Now it's time for Giggle Bricks with Nico, the part of the show where Nico tells a silly joke.
What do you call a pile of kittens? A meowden.
Did you notice that I built the tower arches and then took them apart and built them with something else? I'm constantly changing and trying new things to see what looks the best. And do you see the brick separator on the table? I use these a lot. They're one of my favorite tools. Some of my favorite Lego tools, brick separator and a minifig crowbar. I can get into tiny little spaces to remove bricks to move things around. I'm constantly changing things, constantly changing things. You might think this is a very scary dragon. He's got sharp teeth. He's huge compared to Nelson. He breathes fire. He lives isolated, alone, up in a tower, coming from the inside of the mountain where he lives. You might think he's a pretty scary dragon. Nelson doesn't think so. Does Nelson know something we don't? He sure does. This dragon is Nelson's friend. And this dragon's favorite treat, you'll never guess it, s'mores. I even made a little fire pit for them from on top of the tower. They can hang out up there and roast marshmallows. Hide behind the shield, light the fire, and they can eat their marshmallows. Some of the most versatile pieces, ball and socket. We use these all the time on LEGOmasters. Very valuable piece. And if you look close, you can see them in the dragon. These rocky cliffs being so high up remind me of a joke.
And now it's time for Giggle Bricks with Nico, the part of the show where Nico tells a silly joke.
Toothpick fell out of the jar onto the floor. What did one say to another? Kill the thing.
Caroline has a vivid imagination, and so when she sees these rollers in alternating colors of orange and green, she imagines flowers on the side of a mountain. Not just any flowers, these are special flowers that when they grow together, they create this orange blended leaf, and this leaf is a special medicine. And so she's going to this island with her map in her hand to find this medicinal plant that only occurs at the top of this island. So now I'm building a frame that will go outside the entire build and make it look like a piece of art. The playground is on a tiny little mound of grass, so I made little mounds of grass for each of the imagination clouds as well. Here's the finished product. What do you think? So I wonder, were you able to find those 3 Lego books as I was building today? The first one was super easy. It was right in front of the playground. The second book was peeking out of the dragon's tower. So the dragon came out of the center of the mountain and out the tower window to come and see Nelson. And he had a book sitting up there that Nelson would read to him. The third book was on Discovery Island, right at the top, under a palm tree, next to the climbing vine. That was the hardest one to see. So good job if you got all 3 of them. It's time to build a dragon. You can follow along with my on-screen instructions and watch as I build it. I slowed these steps down so that you can see each of the individual parts. But if this is taking too long for you, you can skip to the end to see the finished dragon. So Nelson is on his way to bring his friend some marshmallows. Now you'll notice that Nelson is carrying an axe and a shield. The axe is to chop up wood so the dragon can set it on fire so they have somewhere to roast their marshmallows safely. You'll notice that Nelson also has a shield. That's because the dragon breathes a lot of fire and he needs a little protection. His friend's breath can be a little bit dangerous. I know some friends like that. Now the dragon does breathe a lot of fire. His friend's breath can be kind of hot. So Nelson has a shield he can hide behind if it gets too hot. So as Nelson is climbing the cliffs up to the dragon's tower, he's yelling to his friend, "It's time for s'mores!" Remember how I said I'm always making changes to make it better? Well, here's an example. If you'll notice, the steps are a little out of order because when I was making the instructions, I found a better way to do it, and so I changed it. Now, if you are one of Nelson's friends, you might say, "Watch out, that's a giant dragon with big teeth and it breathes fire. Stay away." But Nelson knows something that you might not. That dragon is his friend. See, Nelson has met this dragon before. Nelson has read him books and fed him marshmallows because this dragon's favorite treat is s'mores. That's right, Nelson and the dragon are buddies. They've hung out before. Nelson's gonna go visit him again. But yeah, they're friends. The big scary dragon apparently is not so scary. He likes marshmallows. We should name him. He doesn't have a name yet. Marshmallow's already taken, so we gotta name him something else. S'mores, I don't know if that's taken or not, but let me know if you can think of a good name for Nelson's dragon, because he doesn't have a name yet. Now that I've shown you how to build a body section, build 4 or 5 more, depending on how long you want your dragon's neck to be. Here's a list of all the parts you'll need. I want to extend a challenge to you. I would love for you to build a park, and I want to see it. So you can either show it to me on social media, or you can email me or send me a picture or a drawing by regular mail. I can't wait to see what you build. I hope you had as much fun as I did. Thank you so much for sharing your time with me today. Here's where I would normally say goodbye, but there's bloopers. I always keep a brick separator handy because I am always changing my mind and moving things around and deciding how to build things better. Some of my favorite poems growing up were by Shel Silverstein. Why can't I say that? Shel Silverstein. Shel. I can say your last name, Shel. Shel Silverstein. That's right. Not Shelverstein, Silverstein. Or what if it Stein? Silverstein. Then I don't think that's right. Do you know how to say his name? Silverstein? I'm gonna have to Google this. I couldn't have built this dragon without these awesome Lego parts. They're called a toe ball socket. They're called a toe ball and a toe ball socket. We just shorten it and call it ball and socket. So satisfying. I could just do that all day. That should seriously be a sound effect. I could do that all day. Some of my favorite Lego tools are my brick separators and my little Lego wrench. I use these to get into small, tiny spaces and pry my bricks apart because I'm always taking my stuff apart. Always. Rebuilding is the best. Well, apparently it's Shel Silverstein. I can say that. Silverstein. Much easier. Much easier. Silverstein. I got it. Stein. I just found a British pronunciation of his name, which is Shel Silverstein. Shel Silverstein. See, now that's going to confuse me. But I guess I have to say that in a British accent. Shel Silverstein. I don't know, that sounded more German than anything. I'm going to read my book, Shel Silverstein. I don't know. British accent. Pop in for a cuppa. Shel Silverstein. Silverstein. Pop in for a cuppa, Shel. Shel, would you like to pop in for a cuppa? Mr. Silverstein, would you like to pop in for a cuppa? Mr. Silverstein, would you like to pop in for a cuppa? Ooh, this is a jazzy tune. Maybe I'll use this one. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Bye!